Welcome to What Would They Do, a podcast where you send in your questions and queries, which we'll answer with the original self-help gurus, pre the Instagram influencers like Louise Thompson we know too well. In this series, we'll be discussing love to joining cults. It's up to you how to utilise our advice. In fact, anything you do, don't hold us to the repercussions. Today we'll be advising you on love, a big word. We've had lots of messages that have come in, and to help you, Dami and I, and Ovid, will come up with some ways to aid you in your tribulations. Dami, what book of Ovid are we going to be utilising to help our friends?
So, we're predominantly going to be looking at book 1 and book 2. I think it's really important for our listeners to know that Ovid was writing a number of thousands of years ago. So we don't take all of his advice at face value. However, while there is some outrageousness in it, there are some good points that I myself would take. So we'll go through the good and the bad. We can have a laugh and a joke, and we can also get into some serious discussion about what to do about your loves.
Sweet. Right, well, our first message is from Grace from Kingston. She said, in Corona, I'm finding it really hard to meet someone, with pubs and bars closed. Do you have any advice on how I could rectify this? Well, Grace, that is a really hard situation you are in. With everything closed, it is really tricky. Let's have a look at what Ovid suggests. I mean, first of all, he's right when he says, she won't come falling for you out of thin air. Be that a she or a he, Grace, I don't know your situation. There are things that you can do. I mean, first of all, the obvious is, go on a dating app. Dami, what would you suggest?
Yeah, dating apps have been really good for people that just want to meet someone potentially, or, actually find someone to get into a relationship with. Of course, Ovid would say to go to the amphitheatre, or to go to the circus and go to events that women would frequent. But
it's hard with social distancing.
It's
today,
difficult. We can't go to clubs.
And also depending on what area you're from. I mean, Ovid said that there were thousands in Rome.
Many thousands, and there are millions in London.
So I suppose it depends on your radius as well. Like, how far would you need to put it?
Well, taking a note out of Ovid's book, I would say extend your radius to as far as the eye can see.
And then I suppose as well, depending on how many people there are in that radius, age-wise as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, no matter how old you are, there is a woman for you. Whether she be old, whether she be young, whether she be even older. I think.
Do you like an older woman, Dami?
I'm not impartial.
What's the age that you would go up to? Because Ovid says that, the older women know their stuff.
They do. They definitely do. And Ovid is definitely right in saying that. I think.
Is he?
I haven't even slept with an older woman. Right. Right. Oh,
Look, I mean, I just think it seems like Ovid is way freer in his sexual life than you seem to be.
Yeah, I think with the age thing, I think different ages provide different things. I think if you want.
I mean, right, you're obviously finding this quite tricky, so let's get back to the original question. It's finding it really hard to meet someone with everything closed. We've suggested a dating app. We've suggested, there are loads of people still around. Yes, they might be in their homes, isolating. And no, we don't necessarily condone or we're not necessarily advising you to break the lockdown. But if you do, we're not going to tell Bojo. So look, like I would say, Hinge, Tinder, radius, a sweet 5 miles, can't go wrong. Age limit, look, it's up to you. But if you're 18 on the app, I would definitely, I mean, Grace, you're from Kingston. There are going to be some cool, you know, hipster men around there. So I would just whack it on to 24 to maybe like 27, a small bracket. But as Ovid says, there's going to be thousands around you. But like where to meet them? I mean, you could go to your local temple. I don't know how many amphitheatres are knocking around in Kingston, but like, you know, try a supermarket.
A park would do.
A park is a good one.
You could go on a walk, have a chat, with some beautiful surroundings, almost as beautiful as the Roman amphitheatres, I would say.
Yeah, but those green spaces in Kingston, you really just can't compare.
They can't, no. You're right. But the conversations, I'm sure, can compare. And I think moving on from that, I think one thing that would be really important if you're going to meet someone is to make sure you have something to talk about. One thing that Ovid does speak about in his Ars Amatoria is to have a knowledge of language and the liberal arts to make for a much more interesting conversation. So I think, Grace, if you are going to go and meet someone, sure that you've got something, a conversation.
He does say, to be fair, and first of all engage in casual talk. Make earnest inquiry whose those horses are. So I mean, like, I don't know if you're going for like a horsey man, Grace, or woman, but you know, keep that in mind. Horses. What else could they talk about? Favourite colour.
Favourite colours always.
Can't go wrong. If they say orange, run. Right, I think let's go on to our next question. We've given Grace quite a bit of our time.
So this question is from Paul from Bristol. He says, "This is my first ever relationship. Do you have any tips on how to maintain this relationship?"
So what does Ovid suggest when maintaining a relationship? Because in book 1 he talks a lot about how to find a relationship, doesn't he? How to find a girl, how to charm her, seduce her, but he doesn't really talk about what to do once you have a relationship. So is that then in book 2, Danny?
Yeah, book 2 definitely goes into quite a lot of detail about how, and the entirety of book 2 is on how to keep the women that you've managed to secure, hook up with.
Sweet. And what does he suggest?
So Ovid suggests a number of things, but I think the main point that we take from book 2 is that you have to look after the lady that you are seeing, that you're in a relationship. So if that's a
coffee in the morning,
definitely a coffee would
provide.
A coffee would suffice, but you know, even more. I mean, you know, a coffee would be nice, but just making sure that you are tentative at all times. I think.
Really?
You know,
in what ways does Ovid suggest being attentive in book 2?
A few different ways.
Really? Which ways?
Well, I think towards the end he does speak a lot about sex and.
Does he? Could you elaborate on that?
I think as many men, even in our society today, don't know. Actually, taking time to pleasure the lady that you're seeing is something that is often overlooked. And I think one of the things that Ovid definitely tries to emphasise is the point of making the woman feel good so that you yourself will also feel good in the bedroom.
I think that's a really good tip from Ovid. And Paul, I mean, I hope that's enough advice for you. We've got, to keep your relationship sound, safe. I mean, depends how long you've already been going out for.
Yeah, and make sure that you show that you want to be there. I think is one of the things that Ovid makes sure that he emphasises in book 2 is, if you're sort of leaving, going around, you're not being a tentative boyfriend or anything like that, then that girl may then go on and find someone else.
That's really, really like modern outlook, I would say, from Ovid.
Yeah, definitely. I think
it's something I wouldn't actually expect from someone in the ancient world to take in mind for a woman.
Yeah, I know, because you and I have studied classics, and we're well aware of the the opinions and attitudes towards women, and a lot of them aren't as progressive as this. So
it's really interesting. I think this is a case where we can definitely utilise this like firsthand.
Definitely.
So cool. I mean, I hope that answered your question. Good luck. I've got a date this weekend, but I have no idea what to wear. My mum still buys my clothes. Oh, Ben, what to do with you? I mean, I hope you've moved out of the cargo short phase. Ovid does in book 1 actually have a lot to say about looking presentable. He says, a well-fitting and spotless toga's a good choice. I don't know if you can find a toga knocking around in Top Man or D-Top, but it's something to take into account, being presentable. Like, he does mention no long nails, make sure they're dirt-free. There's nothing worse than seeing someone's grubby hands. It's kind of grim.
I can attest to that.
Make sure, I mean, I'm not saying, Ben, to get a manicure before you see this girl, but just wash them, right?
Have a shower, put some aftershave on.
Yeah, and if you're prone to a little, what's it called when someone has a moustache with barely any hair on? Whiskers. Just get rid of it. Yeah. For you and her.
Yeah. But if you do have facial hair, make sure that facial hair is trimmed and it looks nice and presentable.
There we go. How do you do yours?
I don't, which is why I don't have a girlfriend. So.
Sweet. So there we go, listeners. Also, Ovid does make a really good point. No bad breath. So if you do consume quite a bit of coffee before 12, or you are a smoker, just make sure you carry some gum around. It's like 50p a packet, really nothing.
Definitely.
So I mean, I hope that helped you. Oh, another thing, haircuts. What do we think about a mullet, Danny?
Well, they've been all the rage nowadays, haven't
Ovid doesn't necessarily talk about the mullet
itself,
but he doesn't say make sure your hair's neat with an evil haircut. So I don't know what that necessarily means. I don't know if the mullet was knocking around in the Roman times.
Might have been.
You never know.
Yeah. Don't think we have the archaeological evidence for it, but I'm sure they're digging away.
Just imagine all the Romans with a bloody mullet. Fair enough.
We didn't see them on the busts. I guess it can be fair to say that there weren't mullets.
So maybe that's not a look. Maybe that's something that Ovid wouldn't advise.
He might not advise it, but I
can see him pulling one off. To be fair, I can see him pulling off a mullet.
Like the mullets. What do you think about the mullet?
I used to have a mullet, but I've been growing it out. Yeah, it looked way too much like a man. Oh my god, we have a caller.
We have a caller.
Let's pick it up. Hello? Right, we're going to have some technical difficulties here. Hello?
Hi.
Hi, what's your name?
My name's Edwin.
Hello, Edwin.
You seem like you're in quite a bit of distress. Are you alright?
Is this that talk show where you give advice and that?
Yes, it is. We've got a listener from Scotland.
Whereabouts in Scotland are you from, Edwin?
I'm from Glasgow.
Oh no! You're really God. I mean,
what's up, Edwin?
She turned the winds against us. She turned the winds against us. She left me, pal. She's gone. She left me, pal.
Wow. Well,
I'm so sorry to
I'm
hear
really
that.
sorry to hear that as well, Edwin. And I think we can definitely give you some help, some advice to do with that, because there is nothing worse
What
than.
am I gonna do? She left us.
Yeah. I mean, I
Does Ovid have
can't
any
believe
help with heartbreak? Are you looking to move on, Edwin, or?
Edwin, I have some quite soothing words for you.
Look, there are plenty of fish in the sea.
There are plenty of fish in the sea, and that is one of the things that Ovid.
I know it's going to seem really hard right now, but I'm sure we'll find a way to help you in this situation.
She was the one for us, mate. She was the one for me.
So what exactly happened, Edwin?
Mate, we were just there and she told me she's sick of us and she took the reins, and now I'm just in my flat on my own. Don't know what to do with myself.
And do you want her back, Edwin?
I want her back, mate. I want her back.
Well, Ovid does give some advice on how to deal with a lost love, so I can definitely be of some help for you. So one of the things that he says is to not seem too over keen. So I know that this is, someone that you're in love with, it's your girlfriend, but
she was my wife, mate. She wasn't just my girlfriend, she was my wife. She's gone.
Perhaps one of the things that Ovid would advise to be prudent is to maybe step back a bit, and give it some time. He definitely does make it clear in his second book that, being too overbearing is like to drive a woman away. So
overbearing, give it time.
So maybe take the first thing that you should do is to take a few days to gather your thoughts and your feelings, just work through what you're going through mentally at the moment, and allow her to the distance, as we know, does make the heart grow fonder. So I think take a step back and reassess, and then maybe in a few days, weeks perhaps, you can come back and have a conversation with her, and maybe she'll be more warm towards you at that point, because
And
it's
I
obviously.
think, Edwin, the better you deal with it, the cooler you'll look, and the more her friends will appreciate you as a person, and maybe recommend to her that you both get back. I mean, Ovid himself did say that it's really important to make sure that you come across well to her friends, because they'll be telling her, the good and the bad about you. It's really important that you do take this time back.
Of course, Ovid said handmaiden back then, but we don't have.
But we moved. We moved.
I think you're right. I think this Ovid bloke has a lot of good stuff to tell me. I'm gonna buy this book. I think your advice has really helped me, but I got to go because I got to go get my gyro, because I'm broke, mate. She left us, so thanks for all the help.
Well, that's perfect, because Ovid did say his advice were for the less well off. So
he also is famous to say an iron brew will make it so much better.
Aye.
Yeah, always.
So I'm gonna go get an iron brew. Thanks
You
a lot,
do that, Edwin. It was lovely hearing from you, and we wish you all the best.
Thanks, mate. Ta-ta.
So, Jack from Manchester has sent an email in. He's just come out of his first long-term relationship. So, I'm not looking for anything serious. As it's been so long since I've been on the market, do you have any tips on how to meet people or how to approach them? I feel like this is very similar to Grace's question. At the moment, it is really hard to meet people. So, like we said beforehand, there are places that you can go to. I mean, again, we don't have amphitheatres. We don't have the circuses going on right now. So what can we suggest? What would Ovid do? I mean, when approaching someone, Jack, you obviously don't want to come across as too intimidating or creepy. I think if we took a lot of help quite literally from Ovid, you might get some people running.
Yeah.
He does have some odd advice in that sense.
Some not very COVID friendly advice.
Yeah,
to
or 21st century advice.
Yeah. So one thing, there'll be no touching. That's one thing that.
Yeah. So if our skirt is training too near the ground, don't lift
pick it up and have a look at her ankle.
No, come on.
Let's not do that. But he also says some pretty decent things. I might say about how to get on the roll.
Does he? What does he suggest?
I think one of the main things is women, although we are in the 21st century and, chivalry is not dead. So
no,
I think that to seeing...
So is that like paying for the first date?
Yeah, or, you go on a social distancing walk, you might, it's a nice day, buy her a beer, to go on a walk.
That's
and
a really good idea.
have a chill in a park,
But then how would you go about approaching them? Because I don't know how Ovid does it, but there are some things that he suggests that I would not agree with today.
Would you like to? What were some of those things?
Well, I mean, from part 7 in Ars Amatoria, there's a whole section on tears, kisses, and take the lead. To quote Ovid, though she might not give, take what isn't given. Perhaps she'll struggle and then say you're wicked. Struggling, she still wants herself to be conquered. Personally, not really about that.
Yeah, I can't imagine you're a fan of being conquered.
No, not ideal.
And I can't imagine anyone.
I mean, especially today.
Yeah. I mean, even back then, I can't imagine they were fans of being conquered. One thing I would say, love is make love, not war. So, conquering.
All right, Yoko.
Conquering, we'll leave out of the equation here. But perhaps.
Yeah, I really, in fact, with approaching, this is really something we should take lightly from Ovid.
Yeah. We can have a laugh and a joke about that, and I can give you.
But at the end of the day. Don't try to conquer her.
Yeah.
Don't go against their will.
Don't chase them around, or stalk them, or stand outside their house.
Yeah, like
uninvited.
Look, you have them on Snap Maps, but doesn't mean that you need to follow them.
Exactly.
Right.
She'd have added you on Find My Friends if she wanted to be followed around.
Exactly. Right. I think we've got time for just one more question.
We've told you everything not to do. So basically, just do the opposite of what we've said.
Yeah, just do the opposite of what Ovid would have done.
Yeah, exactly.
In that
instance. Yeah.
Right. Now, Lucy from London, she says, after lockdown, I have a dinner party planned and there will be some boys there. What should I do and how should I present myself? I have an awful trait of getting too drunk and making bad decisions. Well, Lucy, we've all been there. And Ovid himself has a whole chapter about dinner parties and what to do and what not to do. He also talks a lot about alcohol and how it can hinder and kind of
addle your wits.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been there. You've got the beer goggles, you think you've gone home, or you're seeing someone who looks completely different to how they really do in real life. I mean, I don't know about you, Dami, but like, I'm really interested. Fake tan is a really big thing. Have you woken up and there's like orange on your sheets?
I don't actually think I've had to endure that. Actually,
Well, that's
I'm quite lucky in that respect.
yeah, because Ovid does say, don't trust the treacherous lamplight overmuch. Night and wine can harm your view of beauty.
Definitely, but another thing that he says is, wine can be an aid in terms of giving one confidence, and it's important to
get the right balance.
To get the right balance, exactly. So you're not going to go to a dinner party and not drink, and actually drinking might help with giving you a bit more confidence with starting a conversation with someone that you might be attracted to. But have too many drinks, and as Ovid does mention definitely in book 1 as well as book 2, is not only will it add all your wits, but it'll also
But it's really funny because it is actually really modern. Like he says, faults are hidden at night, every blemish is forgiven, and the hour makes whichever girl you like beautiful. Judge jewellery and fabric stained with purple, judge a face or a figure in the light. Like, obviously, to an extent, you can say it's kind of derogatory, but then who's to say that girls don't do that to boys too? Do you know what I mean? Like, it is a funny, account that he has that we can all still today
definitely I think everyone
appreciate.
Everyone can definitely take note.
So I suppose it's have fun at this party. You're going to meet new people. Make sure you just stick it to just a couple glasses. Get that laughter going, like Ovid says. Cupid's drunken wings and all that, but just don't drink too much. Make sure there's some good lighting in there.
Definitely. I mean, I think it's quite funny. One thing that Ovid does say, this is advice that we won't be taking. But, I think it's quite funny. One of the things he does say is to sometimes act like you're drunk, rather than actually getting drunk, because that way, if you do anything silly, you can just put it down to being drunk. I wouldn't.
That's clever.
It's clever. I don't know how much I would. So
say your fizzy water's a gin and tonic.
Yeah, exactly.
Just be a bit more animated.
Yeah, exactly. And if you tell them that you love them on the first day after having a few drinks, and you can just say, look, I was completely
drunk. I had no idea. I completely forgot.
Exactly. But also maybe don't do that, because that I love you part, as Ovid says, comes after you've secured the lady or the man.
You don't want to freak them out, do you? Not even back then was that a thing.
It definitely wasn't. Over-eagerness is the enemy, Ovid says.
Too right. Hear.
Hear.
Well, I think that concludes the messages that we've chosen.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for sending them in.
Yeah.
Next week, what are we going to be talking about?
I think we're going to be talking about Stoicism and the how the Stoic thought can help us in modern day, and we're going to be having the brilliant Alfred and Gemini in to speak to us about that. So yeah,
great. Well, I think to conclude, there were a lot of great tips that Ovid had, a lot of tips that maybe we shouldn't take in today's society.
Yeah. Some questionable methods. But it was 2,000 years ago. So
yeah.
We'll give him a pass for some of it.
And I can't wait to see you all in the amphitheatres when we're allowed out of this lockdown.
Definitely.